This one was literal jaw on the floor. I could not believe what I was watching.
It's absolutely insane.
I mean, like the twist, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's really bad.
Hey, fam, I just wanted to remind you that I'm heading back out on tour in February. In case you don't know, it's a storytelling party evening where for the first hour, I'm going to be telling you a hilarious story about a disastrous night I spent with Golden Girls icon B. Arthur. I loved her, she hated me, but she needed me, and hilarity ensued. I have a drag queen playing B. Arthur from Beyond the Grave via video. It's hilarious, it's ridiculous, you're going to love it. For the second part of the night, we all go to the bar and drink and hang out. Do not be afraid to come alone, fam. We've made special stickers for solo travelers to wear if you're looking to make new friends. We've also made other stickers for people who come in groups but want to invite solo travelers to join their group. It's going to be an amazing night of like laughing, hanging out, and making new friends. We are super close to selling out in Seattle, Los Angeles, and Indianapolis. All of those shows have fewer than 15 tickets left. And Kansas City, Indianapolis, and Salt Lake are all more than 2/3 sold out as well. Just a heads up, I'm going to be announcing a bunch more cities in a couple of weeks. You can get all the information and get your tickets at patricktours.com. Anyway, girl, what are we talking about today?
All right, that show Worst Ex Ever on Netflix.
Yes.
This is our second episode that we're covering because it's episode 2 of the series. It's called Betrayed by the Badge.
Emotions, especially with exes, bring out the absolute worst in people.
This is 911. And I got lost and I was drunk. They pulled me over.
I've seen instances where exes kill each other.
Ma'am? Yes. What incident happened?
But as far as this elaborate plot, it was just gut-wrenching.
I was lost because I...
Horrible. Plain and simple.
Right at the top, we meet Seemona. She's a Queens girly.
She's the freaking coolest.
She is.
Yeah, her name's Seemona. It's spelled Seemona. She's super cool.
Yeah.
It's 2006. At the time, she's a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley and she's opening a restaurant at the same time.
She says, it was like I was always busy. It seemed like all I knew how to do was work. And I was like, great for you, Seemona. Who would ever want to open a restaurant?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of the hardest things to do. It really is. It's incredibly hard to open a restaurant.
Nothing but respect for anybody who owns like a food service business like that. Like
very
a restaurant.
hard.
But I mean, it is. Just having spent 20 years working in restaurants, I cannot imagine the stress. And like above and beyond that, she's a financial advisor with Morgan Stanley. Like she does it all.
And it's not, neither of those things are 9 to 5 jobs.
No.
So it's not like she's like, 9 to 5, and then she clocks out. Like when you're working on Wall Street like that, it's just endless.
And beyond that, she's a single mom.
Yeah.
She's got this awesome daughter named Kiara. We'll get to in a minute. But like this woman is full time.
So here's the deal with Seemona. She's the coolest. Her family is from Guyana, which is in South America.
Yeah.
She came to the U.S. when she was 11 years old. She's the oldest of 3. She has a younger brother, a younger sister. She grew up on Long Island.
When I was growing up in Long Island, we basically grew up in the same house, and we lived there for years until I purchased the house from my parents. In my mind, that house, it was always going to be mine, I guess, or in the family type of thing.
The house is really, really important to her.
And like her dad is a workhorse too. Like you can tell she gets her work ethic from her dad.
Totally.
He worked for Steinway Piano Company, which is amazing. And in addition to that, he owns his own taxi company.
Which is exactly what Semona's doing because she has a job and her own business.
Yeah. Yes,
So
exactly.
she's following in his footsteps. So right out of school, she's a broker on Wall Street. She goes, I learned fast and I moved up fast. And I'm like, yeah, you did. Get it, girl.
I mean,
Hell
oh my
yeah.
God.
Oh, those finance bros hated to see her coming.
Of course.
Oh, she's amazing.
I mean, like it's one of those things I would love to learn how to do that. I don't know how you learn how to do that.
I have no interest.
No, I mean, like I would love to know how to like make money or whatever. But no,
sure,
no, I
but
don't.
that's what the experts are for.
I get like Seemona.
Like Seemona.
Wouldn't you love it if she was your broker?
Oh, well, now it's different. Now we'd be like finance girlies, and I'd take her out for Cosmos and be like, tell me everything.
Oh my God, stories for days.
So after a few years of working on Wall Street, she decides to open a Golden Crust, which is a franchise that serves Jamaican food, and they are all over New York in the 5 boroughs.
You see them everywhere.
She knew the food. She loved the food.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, she had a passion for this thing, and she also wanted this other business. I totally understand why she was doing this.
She's also not like one of those passive owners. Like, she's like super hands-on. She's there all the time.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you become successful. stressful.
Exactly.
So it's January 2006. She's beyond busy. We have Wall Street. We have the restaurant. And she's taking care of Kiara, who's her daughter, who she describes as the best thing that ever happened to her.
Like the total love of her life. I love Kiara because she seems like quiet, but like what's
She
Kiara
watches
thinking?
everything.
He watches everything.
She'll let you know what she's thinking if she feels like it. She watches. She absorbs everything.
She's got a little bit of a Jillian quality to her. She seems to know things about people before everybody else does.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, we'll get to what she's absorbing in a mere moment.
Yeah.
So Seemona's super busy, and she was pretty adamant that she was never going to get married because honestly, she was too fucking busy, and she wasn't going to sacrifice anything, including her freedom, for a man.
And that's the thing. Like, she describes marriage as like losing her freedom. I was like, damn, Seemona, who hurt you?
Right, but also like I get it because she's got two completely different jobs in completely different fields, and like then she's got like her and Kiara have it all worked out.
Yep.
So now you're bringing someone else into that, and it's not like a man-hating thing, or it complicates everything. And Seemona's kind of like, my life is great. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. She's getting fulfilled. She doesn't need anybody.
She doesn't need it. And so the restaurant was supposed to open in early March 2006, but then like we take a fucking serious left turn, and we find out that Seemona's dad dies by suicide.
After that happened, I pushed back the opening of the restaurant till after all the prayers and everything was done, and gave myself enough time. So it was opened in the very last week of March.
So she delays opening the restaurant, of course.
Yeah. We should say that like this suicide, we'll get more into it later, but like it really affects her. Like she really, like she can't understand why her dad would have done that. She also doesn't really feel like she can talk to her family too much about it. So this is an important part of the story.
Right. So she opens the restaurant the very last week of March 2006.
Yeah.
By June 2006, Seemona meets this guy, Jerry. He comes into the restaurant. He's ordering food. He strikes up a conversation with her. I'm sure Seemona was dealing with guys hitting on her all the time.
Constantly.
But Jerry's a cop. He's a detective for the Brooklyn DA's office. He also does consulting work down the street. So hooray, Jerry can stop by
anytime.
All the time.
And you know what? She's always happy to see him. He's being really helpful. Now, obviously, this is called worst ex ever. This guy's going to end up being a total fucking piece of shit.
Right, but he's giving her, at first I'm like, Jerry, take a walk, because he's just like...
a long walk off a short pier, as my mother would say.
Pushing you off. But he's giving her notes on the restaurant, telling her that the cameras are in the wrong places. I'm like, Jerry, kick rocks. Nobody asked
Nobody asked, but she's kind of grateful because he's like, let me come back. Probably the cameras weren't pointed in the wrong direction.
I'm sure, but
like,
did she ask for help? She was probably like, hey, move that. Hey, do that.
Yeah. He's
like,
just looking for a reason to come back and hang out with her.
And also, like, he's being, because she says, he was making my life easier on a daily basis, like taking her car to the car wash. And this can be a form of love bombing. So I'm sorry to sound like a cynical cold bitch, but like you said, we are talking this, like, context matters, people.
I mean,
this is on a show called Worst Ex Ever.
And wait until you hear what this guy does. Like, he's awful.
He's awful. Context matters.
Yes.
If you're not on the show Worst Ex Ever and your husband took your car to the car wash, good for you. I'm not talking to you.
And the problem is people like this ruin shit for people all the time. Like, I'm a flowers sender. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to send flowers to people. I'm not love bombing anybody. I'm just a good person who likes to send flowers.
And he's doing this so that he can like rack up the points and use it against her. Like none of this is out of the goodness of his own heart.
My point was not about me. My point is just to say 90% of the people who do nice things for people are just doing nice things for people. You know what I mean?
When they end up on a show called Worst Ex Ever, then we'll have a conversation. So, God.
About a 60-minute conversation with a couple of ad breaks in between.
Context, people. Context. Not everyone's the main character.
No. Girl, Home Chef is back. We had friends over for dinner the other night. Steve pulled out a Home Chef and they were like, do you guys really actually like this? And Steve went on for 15 minutes about how much he loves Home Chef.
Yeah, because they're delivering hearty recipes and your favorite comfort foods for the winter too, which I love because there's something about like eating a really cozy meal in the wintertime that just like is such a vibe.
Yes. What did we have last night? We had fettuccine and shrimp last night. And made it in 22 minutes. It was so good.
That's like $42 at a restaurant.
Not at my house.
The shrimp?
The shrimp was genius.
God.
It was so good.
Home Chef is all about streamlining dinner time because we all grew up and we were like, oh, we have to think about what we're having for dinner every single day.
Oh my God.
And Home Chef kind of answers that question.
It cuts out the like, what are we having for dinner panic? I always say it. Also, it saves you money. Dining out with the family can break the bank, as we all know. And while grocery shopping saves money, it eats up your time with meal planning. And also, grocery shopping can also be expensive. You're always
100%.
buying more than you need.
Totally.
Home Chef is sending you exactly what you need. There's no waste. You're not overspending. It is the perfect answer.
Yeah, users of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef #1 in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease.
Okay, Home Chef.
We love you.
So, fam, for a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life. And, of course, free shipping on your first box.
Go to homechef.com/TCO.
That's homechef.com/TCO for 18 free meals and free desserts for life.
Homechef.com/TCO. Must be an active subscriber to receive the free dessert.
And you're going to want to be, I say it every time, the free dessert is the thing you pull out first. I swear to God, you eat it while you're putting the rest of it away.
Yeah, it sounds like a caveat, but it's not.
But
But
it's
you want the Home Chef anyway.
It's exactly. Now we meet Melanie. I wish she was a main character because she is so awesome, this young lady.
She's Simona's niece.
Her niece. She is saying the family loved Jerry.
We all kind of looked up to him in a sense because, he was this guy that worked for the NYPD. He showed us his gun before, he's always have it with him, stuff like that. And then, we always thought it was so cool. Just a cool guy. He was just a cool guy, the way he talks, walks. And we liked him. And he cared for Seemona.
He can also protect Seemona, who's walking home from work by herself at 3 o'clock in the morning, oftentimes.
Right, because the thing we glossed over is that over these 6 months, they become friends. He infiltrates her life. And by 2007, they're dating.
Yes.
And the family, like you're saying, is very excited about it. And so even Simona's aunt is she was a single mom. She had 2 jobs. It was kind of nice to have some big protective guy around to do the little things like taking the car to the car wash and making sure she's safe with the cameras.
Because most of the time, those guys end up just being normal, nice guys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's going to always protect her, right?
Yeah.
He also has a lot of time on his hands for a fucking Brooklyn detective.
I know.
He has all of this time to make her life easier.
I know.
But he's a detective in Brooklyn. Really?
I know.
And a consulting firm and
I know.
okay.
Listen, guess who is the only person who doesn't really like Jerry?
Welcome, Kiara. You can sit right next to me, girl. Kiara is the only one who's not enamored by this guy who's what's your number?
Yeah. And
don't worry about the cameras, Jerry.
I know.
Jer.
Kiara being the 11-year-old daughter is just kind of because what happens is...
From a mile away, she sees him.
Right. Jerry lives with his mom, so he's spending a lot of time at Simona's house. And that goes from dinners to he's spending the night a lot. So he's in Kiara's space, and she's got this guy's number pretty fast.
Yeah, but the thing is also to remember is that Jerry, like they do, swooped in when Seemona was going through a really rough time because, like we said, her father died by suicide. So it's very hard for Seemona to process this with her family. They're going through their trauma. So Jerry is sort of this impartial person, for lack of a better term, who came in. He's super helpful. He understands her. He's he can protect her. He's a cop. He's a safe space.
Yeah.
And she really lets her guard down and talks about all of her feelings, her sadness, her anger, her confusion, her frustration.
The stuff she can't talk about with anybody else.
And that is another layer of attachment now.
Yes.
So it's 2008. They've been dating for 2 years now.
2 years.
And Seemona gets a phone call at work. This woman, she doesn't know. And the woman's like, "Are you Seemona?" And Simona's like, "Yeah." And
Next
she goes,
question.
"Are you setting down?" And Simona's like, "I could be. Who are you?"
Yeah.
She said that she was married to him and she had 2 kids. I did ask her about what he did for a living, and she said, "Oh, well, let me guess, is he telling you that he's a detective or he's a cop?" And I'm like, "Yes, both. So which one is he?" And she says, "None."
Surprise, surprise. He's not a cop.
No.
So this woman calls Simona's just by the way, this piece of shit guy who I'm unfortunately married to.
Seemona, we get the vibe from her in this moment that she didn't necessarily not see this coming. You know what I mean?
She makes moves instantly.
Yes.
Because she's
we see in the animation, because that's how this show does reenactments, it's as though she's down in the basement in her office and Jerry's upstairs on his cell. He's there now.
He's always there.
Yeah.
So Simona's like, "Thank you.
Yeah.
Gotta go."
Yeah.
Hangs up the phone, walks upstairs, confronts Jerry, because of course he's at the stupid restaurant. Not stupid restaurant, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Seemona. I didn't mean that.
Amazing
restaurant, but of course he's there.
Yeah.
And Jerry's like, "Oh my God, she's crazy. This is a green card marriage. Don't believe a word she said." And Simona's like, "Cool, what about the kids though?
Right.
Green card, schmeen card. You have 2 kids?"
Oh, and also I know you're not a fucking cop.
So this guy's lying to her completely. He's married. He has 2 kids. He's not a cop. Everything he said was a lie. In 2 seconds flat, Seemona dumps his ass.
Yeah, and she says to him, she's like, I made it clear it was over. I have no hard feelings. Just get the hell out of my life.
She is
Thank you
literally-
for proving everything I ever thought about dating.
Right. She's literally too busy for this shit.
Yeah.
She's on Wall Street. She has this brand new business. She's a mother. Like, enough, Jerry. Keep walking. Goodbye.
Get out. Now we meet this guy who wants to be anonymous.
Jerry's ex-friend.
He's in shadows. I don't really know why he's in shadows. The producer asks him, and he's like, I just don't want anyone to know that I was associated with that lowlife Jerry. Whenever they say lowlife, it's like my favorite thing.
It's a New Yorker thing for sure.
So
I know other people use that term, but it's a very like Queens
low-life.
adjacent. Like,
it's so good.
I was associated with that low life Jerry. So he has a story to tell. He claims it's important. Let's hear it, ex-friend.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
all
go.
ears.
So ex-friend is saying, when I met Jerry, we became friends. We were just kind of bros. Like, they would go out for drinks and stuff. This ex-friend, whose name obviously we don't get, knew that Jerry was married with 2 kids. And the friend knows that Jerry's like messing around on the side. The friend tells us that Jerry owned security, like a security company. So he would like hire out bodyguards for like bars and stuff.
He would provide services to bars and nightclubs and also like try to act like a ladies' man, even though he was married with 2 kids.
Yes.
But then he also, so in addition to this security company, which is what they call it, like whatever that means,
Right.
he's also an undercover cop.
Yes.
Now, Jerry had a shield but never showed it, but you could see the imprint on the wallet, which is enough for everyone, including the NYPD. Because
Right.
what happens is Jerry and this ex-friend get pulled over.
While I was talking to cop, Jerry was talking to cop on the passenger side, and he showed his wallet with a shield hidden, and the boat cop's like, okay, have a good day, without going further into like asking me for a driver's license or anything.
The cop essentially apologizes
I know.
and lets them on their way. And I'm watching this and I'm just wondering, like, is this one of the bad apples or is this like indicative of the culture? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's indicative of the culture. I also think that, like, for me, because we're gonna, like,
I don't believe in the bad apple thing, by the way. That was sarcasm.
No, like Jerry is not a cop. He's not an undercover cop. And like, for me, that was a very risky moment because if the guy had been like, let me see your fucking badge, bro.
But my point is, like, it's not that risky because the ex-friend is saying that Jerry would see cops, imply he was one of them, and they would respond warmly to that.
I know.
Even if what Jerry's doing is wrong.
Right.
The bad apples don't exist. It's a systemic thing. That's
I'm
what
telling
saying.
you, oh my God, if any cop gets pulled over by another cop, I think they're all letting them go.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
But Jerry was using this like, hey guys,
Right,
like the
right.
brothers in blue or whatever, the blue flu, all that bullshit. Like Jerry was using that to his advantage.
Of course, and it's also one of those things where once the lie is confirmed by an actual cop, then now the ex-friend like is in even further.
Right.
We see that all the time. This friend, by the way, did meet Seemona, and he's kind of like, I really don't understand what she saw in Jerry. Like, she was way out of Jerry's league, but of course, she thinks he's some big detective with the Brooklyn PD and some
with all the time in the world.
Everyone's just, well, it's because she's so busy, she's kind of not really.
That's
I feel
true.
like Seemona was getting what she needed from him. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I don't know. But like, the friend is surprised that Simona's falling for it, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, what? Like, everyone's believing the lie here.
Yeah, the thing that is really hitting me now is that, yeah, you're right. What I'm not hearing from Seemona is like, we were so in love.
We were so in love.
It was like,
right, yeah.
I needed my oil changed.
Yes.
And he did that.
Yes.
And everything she asked, he did that
Right.
she really needed, like an assistant.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sure there was affection there. She did confide in him.
I'm sure like the sexing was good.
Fine. But what I'm not hearing is like the love of my life.
Never.
So the minute she, it was
Even
just like.
the pictures that
he
we
was
see of the
helpful.
two of them, they're like holding hands or like like handshaking.
Right. So he was like helpful to her. He was a sounding board for her when she was going through the stuff with her dad and all of this stuff. But the minute there's a red flag, she's like, oh, I'm gone.
Totally, because he wasn't super available to her and she didn't seem to care, which I think sort of like is not what he was expecting or used. Like, he wanted her to like desperately need him and she never did.
Which is the other part of this.
Yeah.
Because they hate that.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But it lasted for 2 years. Like, it's a long time to like live with a lie.
And it's a long time to not really feel like, oh my God, I loved him so much.
Totally.
So that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So it's March 8th, 2009. Seemona wants her goddamn keys back. And it's been months and this asshole hasn't returned them. Simona's like, I just want to get on with my life. I need my keys. Like, can you stop?
Yeah.
So she's awesome. She's way too busy. Jerry finally shows up to her house and she won't open the door. And she's like, I just want my keys. Can you just like be normal?
And importantly, Kiara's not there. Nobody's home. It's just Seemona by herself.
And he won't leave the keys. And he also won't leave. And he, as Seemona says, won't take no for an answer. So Jerry finally says to her, look, I'll return the keys. Just open the door. I promise I won't do anything. Like, I just want you to open the door.
Yeah.
So Seemona opens the door.
As I turn around, He pushed me face down. I heard the damn duct tape. I heard it. And now I'm angry and I'm cursing. Really angry, so I'm getting loud.
When she hears the duct tape, she's not scared. She's mad.
She's furious.
She's so fucking mad. So she's screaming. He then takes some of the duct tape and puts it over her mouth.
As he's begging her to take him back.
Yeah, and then she says he's crying. But the important thing is that she says she sees his gun. And the thing about Seemona is that she, I think, is intensely rational. And I think she knows in this moment, I gotta play it cool. He's now saying he wants to kill himself. She's afraid he's gonna kill her, then kill himself. So she's trying to just stay calm and keep him calm.
Because in his insane mind, this is going to make her want him again.
Right. Yeah.
So this gets really bad, everyone. I'm sorry. But he's obviously having like an episode and he's an asshole. I'm not like saying episode. You know, he's a bad fucking guy.
Yes. He's just being exactly who he is.
Is exactly who he is. He's begging her, he's crying, threatening her, threatening himself. And then because like she's not giving into it, he drags Seemona down to the basement and he sexually assaults her. He rapes her.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he's crying again. And he's begging her to not report it. And I'm like, 2 minutes with this guy. I will rip him apart with my bare fucking hands. I just want 2 minutes alone with him.
I know. And she says he gets up and leaves. She runs upstairs, like looks out the back window to make, like, she runs upstairs, locks the door, then looks out the window to make sure that he's gone. And immediately she calls the cops.
So he gets up and leaves, begs her not to say anything, just like the worst piece of shit ever. And Seemona makes sure he's gone.
I grab the phone. I call the cops.
What's your name, ma'am?
Seemona.
What's the emergency?
I was assaulted by my ex-boyfriend and I need to make a report. He just left.
She's like whispering or she's like lost her voice from screaming. It's just the most heartbreaking thing.
It's horrible. The police show up. They take her to the hospital. They perform a sexual assault evidence kit. And it's horrifying. And, you know, Melanie, the niece who was with us earlier saying, you know, how much they all like revered him. She says he used his gun against her. And like it was especially sick because it was like the gun that we were also impressed that he had.
Right.
You
exactly.
know?
So he's arrested. His mother pays the $150,000 bail.
And he's out.
Yeah. Enter Frank DiGaetano, lead prosecutor, okay? He's so ready for this case.
He's so ready.
He's like, the evidence is there. Semona's a great witness, which is complicated because she shouldn't have to be, but I'm glad she is.
Yeah.
And while they wait for the trial, this guy's friends and mother are harassing Seemona.
Jerry's friends.
Yeah,
and
no,
mother.
not DiGaetano.
No.
Frankie boy, come on.
The friends are showing up at the house. His mother is calling her, begging her to drop the charges.
This man is a liar and a rapist.
In what world is this going to work? You know what I mean? What fucking world?
She has to get a restraining order to stop these people.
And then she's told that by August 2010, the hearing should begin for the trial.
Travel down the road and back again.
Girl, Pear is a new sponsor this month. I have been waiting forever for Pear to be a sponsor because it's all about the glasses. I live and die by my glasses. So the whole thing about Pear is that they've got the base frames that you get, and then they've got the top frames that you can just like snap over them. So it looks like you're wearing a new pair of glasses every time you do that.
Yeah, they have like hundreds of top frames.
You literally cannot, like, it would take you all day to scroll through their website and see what they have. So when I was ordering mine, it took me like 20 minutes because I'm like, I want to try pink, I want to try blue, but then I want to try professional. It was like all the different options, and you can like be a whole different kind of person based on the glasses you're wearing.
Yeah, so they have all these collaborations. So they have like Disney princesses, Disney Mickey and Friends, the Met, Marvel, Star Wars, NBA, NHL. They also have these collections. You can go from like the premium collection, sun tops, sparkle, classic colors.
And so what I'm saying is that like now you can literally wear a different pair of glasses every single day.
And you can find your perfect frame shape from home with this virtual try-on that they have.
Yes.
Because you're getting a new face, and then you're getting all of these different options. So you can have like Mickey Mouse on your face one day, or you can have sparkles on your face the other day.
It's such a good value. The base frame start at $60 and the top frame start at $25. Free shipping on U.S. orders.
And free returns and exchanges within 30 days, no questions asked.
My friend Chris has been using this for years, and I've always been so jealous. And I'm like, they're a sponsor now, and I'm going to get to do this. I'm going to wear different top frames every time I come into the studio.
And you also, I just love it. Like, you don't have to have 10 different pairs of glasses.
That's
it's
exactly
the same
it.
thing. And you're just like, what do I feel like today?
And you can't tell. It looks like new glasses.
That's amazing.
So fam, show off new sides of yourself this year. Go to paireyewear.com and use code TCObsessed for 15% off your first pair.
And support the show by mentioning that True Crime Obsessed sent you in your post-checkout survey.
That's PAIR eyewear.com, code TCObsessed.
TC Obsessed, baby. I'm obsessed with your face.
So it's May 21st, 2010. Seemona's at the restaurant, and I love that she is full service. She's got a friend who calls, like loves a fish dish that she makes there. Will she make it and bring it to him? She says yes.
Yeah, he works at the school.
Yeah.
And she made this lunch and she's going to drop it off for him. Now, when she's at the school, which like happens to be like a block or two away,
yeah,
Seemona gets pulled over.
I was told to step out of the car. Did I run a stoplight? Did I signal? I just stepped out of the car because I'm still thinking this is a big mistake. Let me just do what they want. And handcuffs go on.
She's taken out of her own car, handcuffed, put in a different car, and they take her to Long Island.
No, I was thinking for a woman who was assaulted the way that she was, this, for me, would be absolutely terrifying. She's in the back of a cop car, restrained.
They rip her out of her own car.
She doesn't know where she's going or why. They won't tell her why they've arrested her.
My first thought is like, did this friend set her up? Who is this guy? Like, what is this?
My fear for her was that she was about to have to face Jerry handcuffed in a fucking interrogation room.
Oh my God.
That was what I was thinking was happening.
Yeah. So Seemona's taken to this precinct in Long Island. She's in an interview room with Detective Charles, Charles, and Detective Nil. And they're harassing her.
No, here's my question. If she had asked for a lawyer at any time, would this have stopped?
I've been screaming, call Frank.
Yeah.
Call Frank, the lawyer. I don't know if they didn't allow her to. I don't know what happened here because they're harassing her and saying all the stereotypes in the book. Like, I know this doesn't feel good. Do the right thing. You know what you did.
Yeah.
Don't you have something to tell us?
Yeah.
All this
and she's
shit.
like, I don't know. If you will just tell me what you think I did, I can tell you if I did it or not.
And I'm like, Seemona, where's Frank?
I know.
So to me, that means that they either were lying to her, they wouldn't allow her that phone call because they are awful to her from beginning to end.
This is one of the things that annoys me about this show is that they don't tell us that because it's like for anybody who knows anything about like getting like true crime, anything, you watch one Dateline and you know to call a lawyer. So it's like I can't imagine that Seemona didn't know that, but they don't tell us why she didn't.
They don't tell us why.
Yeah.
And like
because hours pass and they're not telling her anything. Then finally,
at one point, Detective Charles brought a file and it was Jerry's picture in it. And I asked, does this have something to do with Jerry? If you think I did something, then he's behind it. I didn't do it. And she brushed that off like, no, this has nothing to do with him.
does this have to do with that guy? Because whatever he told you I did, I'm telling you he did.
Right. So Marissa Valley's here. She's a former NYPD detective. She worked in the police impersonations unit.
Yeah.
She's investigating a case where a woman is impersonating a cop to commit robberies.
Yes.
Now, she's in Queens and now Seemona is in Nassau, right?
Yeah.
So these are two different jurisdictions. The Nassau cops call her about Seemona because they're like, we got her. We got your girl.
Yeah. This whole time I'm watching this part of the documentary, I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? It's all going to make sense eventually.
Right. So it's 11 o'clock at night. Seemona,
she got arrested at like 2.
Semona's been in custody for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So Seemona has no idea what's going on. Marissa shows up, who is investigating a case in a different county.
Yeah.
Marissa explains what's going on. She goes, look, there are these cases where people are robbed at gunpoint. People are posing as cops. Seemona goes, hold on a second. Let me tell you about this piece of shit I know named Jerry, who's been impersonating a police officer the entire time I've known him, which is like 2 years. And also his ex-wife called me and blah, blah, blah.
And he's got a gun.
Now, Marissa, thank God, believes Seemona.
Yes.
How could these other cops let this go on when Seemona has the truth on her side? And what she's saying is so clearly...
But just to be really clear here, Marissa does not have any authority in this jurisdiction.
No.
The jurisdiction that arrested Seemona called Marissa's jurisdiction was like, come down and interview this lady if you want. We got her. But Marissa's saying this is not your girl has no sway where Seemona was actually arrested.
The cops that are harassing Seemona, by the way, one of them is a woman. So
yes.
Seemona, so Marissa's like, okay, I can't do anything here, but what I can say is you have to let her go. Like she didn't do anything.
This is not your girl.
And I can't actually let you go, Seemona, but I'll take care of it because this is so obvious you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Then this heartbreaking thing, Marissa starts crying and then I start crying.
And I remember how she held my arm and she kept saying, please don't leave me here. That's stuck with me until today. I still can't. It's still very, there's nothing we could do. It's not our case. This is Nassau County.
please don't leave me here. She's
Don't leave me
begging
here.
her,
Yeah.
please don't
Yes.
leave me here. And Marissa like can't even talk about it without crying.
To this day, Marissa's like, that is the most haunting moment of my entire career.
And Marissa's like, look, I'm Queens, this is Nassau, but I'm gonna make it abundantly clear because it's so obvious.
Yeah.
If you have a freaking 2 brain cells in your head, you'll say, get rid of her.
Yeah.
We're wasting time with Seemona.
Right.
So, and all, like, will someone fucking call a lawyer?
Right.
Why didn't Marissa say, Seemona,
Call a lawyer. I don't understand this.
Maybe she did and we just don't know about
Yeah.
it. So it's 9 a.m., 14 hours in custody.
She's been there the entire time. I mean, like, she's like overnight, she's been there and she doesn't even know why.
Which is going to make you crazy because she's exhausted, she's hungry,
Yes,
and now they're
yes.
just waiting for her to be like, okay, fine, I did it.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, everyone.
So she's taken from the jailhouse to the fucking courthouse to face a judge after having no sleep, no food, probably no water, no fucking lawyer.
Yeah, and they're reading her charges: robbery in the first degree, robbery in the second
Yeah.
degree, criminal impersonation in the first degree, menacing in the second degree. She's at the Nassau Correctional Facility, and she's like, "What? How did I made my friend lunch?
Right.
And now I'm here.
Exactly.
And I know someone who's actually impersonating the cops, and no one but Marissa's listening to me. And now she went back to her jurisdiction. And
Right.
what the fuck is
Because,
going on?
thank you for being here, Marissa, but Marissa doesn't actually fucking do anything.
Right. I want every single person involved to be fired, and I will not
Same.
budge on this.
Same. So she's transported from the courthouse to the fucking Nassau County Correctional Facility.
Right. And finally, because we had Frank,
Yes.
the lawyer before, and now another lawyer has entered the chat, thank God, Anthony Grandinet.
I said, this guy's got a tan for days and he sounds like Steve from Sex and the City.
He specializes in representing people who didn't do it, and I can tell
Yeah.
by his suit, he's very good at what he does, okay?
What can you tell by his tan?
That he's very good at what he does. So, and he says in no uncertain
He's like
terms.
orange.
Oh,
He
yeah.
it truly is orange.
And
this
he's got
guy.
no sense of humor about any of this because, and he shouldn't, because what he says is, when he said it, I was like, oh my God. He says,
Yeah.
Seemona was arrested on 2 separate felony complaints. She faced catastrophic jail time. I mean, her exposure was immense. These 2 armed robberies carried 16 separate felonies with a maximum exposure of up to 50 years in jail. Seemona's bail was set at $1 million.
it's a max of 50 years in jail and $1 million bail.
$1 million, and it just happened. It just snowballed. It went from her delivering food to her friend to being arrested for I don't know why, for being interrogated for 14 hours, to being in front of the judge, to being at the prison, and now she's facing 50 fucking years in prison.
She's in a lot of trouble.
A lot, and I'm like,
a lot.
For me, like I know I'm all of us here, but I'm pulling my hair out. Like she didn't do this.
She didn't do this.
I mean, it's so it should be so easy to prove that she didn't do this,
Right?
You know.
So she can't make bail. So she remains in custody. And Jerry has a ton. I'm like, Jerry has a ton of felonies under his belt, including rape.
Yes.
And he's out in the world. And Seemona didn't do a single thing wrong. And she's sitting in a jail cell feeling like an insane person, like having this out of body experience.
And like Anthony, the lawyer, is like, obviously she's telling me she's not guilty. And, she's convinced that Jerry is behind this because remember, his rape trial is coming up. He's not gone on trial for the rape yet. And obviously he's somehow pulling the strings of this thing to discredit her for his own trial.
Yeah, so he either wants to delay the rape case and or ruin her credibility because the fact that this happened at all, even though she's innocent, is very bad for her.
Right.
It's making a lot of trouble for her in a lot of ways.
Because prosecutor Frank, who was all set to prosecute the rape case, he's like, these charges were surprising and not what I know about this woman at all.
Obviously.
But at the same time, the rape case is ready to go, but we can't do it now. We can't do it until this matter is settled.
So at the very least, Jerry's like, at least I'll delay it for a little bit. Maybe she'll drop it. Maybe I'll intimidate her, whatever.
Exactly.
So Anthony, the lawyer in the nice suit, talks about the facts of these crimes that Seemona is accused of.
Because if you're like me and you're watching this in real time, you're like, what did they say that she did? This makes no sense.
We're going to go through a couple of robberies. We're going to go one at a time, and then I'm going to tie it together at the end.
Yes.
I think that's the easiest way to do it.
In a nice Pennsylvania bow.
Right. I'm not going to say names yet. I'm going to go by the crimes one by one.
Yeah.
Robbery number 1, September 15th, 2009 in Queens. A man calls the cops, says he was stopped randomly by a female officer with dark skin. She had a gold shield around her neck and he was robbed at gunpoint. The case was investigated by NYPD and then dropped.
Yes.
Robbery number 2. And remember the timeline here. They're months later. So that's September 2009. By March of the next year, in Nassau County now, right over the border, robbery number 2. Once again, man says he was stopped randomly by a woman, dark skin, gold shield, has the gun.
This one describes her as Indian.
Indian, yes. He was handcuffed by this woman. She steals $100, takes his watch, his pinky ring.
He was on his way back from the Hell's Kitchen.
Of course. And gives a partial license plate number.
Yes.
Partial. Now, A few months after that, robbery number 3, still in Nassau, right over the border. This is May 19th, 2010. Now it's a woman. A woman says she was stopped by a female officer, dark skin, maybe Indian, gold shield, the same thing.
The thief steals allegedly $1,400 from her purse. In this case, Luz Johnson was able to give the full plate number, and the police linked the car back to Seemona.
Now, this person gives the full plate number. And so now robbery number 2 and 3 are like corroborating each other, even though they're totally independent because we got a partial plate, now a full plate.
Yes.
Oh my God. So the cops are like, okay, this is it. Why would these people lie? They don't know each other. Perfect.
I was also like, why does this lady have $1,400 in cash in her purse?
Yeah, weird. Everyone is driving around with all their valuables. Okay.
I have this commemorative plate in my truck.
Right, like what? Here are all my gold coins in my fucking stamp collection.
They took my locket.
Like,
you know what I
all right,
mean?
Annie. Suddenly it's Rooster and Lily St. Regis.
Travel down the road and back again.
Girl, Haya is back. So listen, you know how like typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise?
Well, that's the thing. They're vitamins, but they're like packed with sugar and stuff that you don't want your kids eating every single day.
Literally. No, this is where Haya is different. Haya is made with 0 sugar and 0 gummy additives, and yet it is still Daisy's favorite thing to take every single day.
Yeah, so most children's vitamins are filled with 5 grams of sugar, which is known to contribute to a variety of health issues. So Haya is made with 0 sugar and 0 gummy additives, and it tastes great, and Daisy's the pickiest eater I know, and if she loves it, then...
Truly, and like we will only give her vitamin after she eats her entire breakfast. So get this, Haya is formulated with the help of pediatricians and nutritional experts. Haya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and many others to help support the immune system, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones, and more.
Start this routine early and they'll be healthier for longer and they taste delicious.
Are you tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens the way that we are? Haya now has Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfoods, a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with 55 plus whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion.
Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy.
And that is really true. We give it to Daisy every morning. She used to beg for chocolate milk, but now we let her have this.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So fam, we've worked out a special deal with Haya for their best-selling children's vitamin.
Receive 50% off your first order.
To claim this deal, you must go to hayahealth.com/TCO.
This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to HIYAHEALTH.com/TCO and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
I love the word nourishment.
Ooh.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good meaning, too.
It's a good meaning.
You can be nourished in all kinds of ways, but start with Haya.
Girl, this message is sponsored by Greenlight. Look, there's no better way to start off your 2025 than preparing your kids with that financial responsibility.
Right, so Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that lets kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's never too early to start this, and Daisy's loving it, right?
I want to throw the copy away and really tell you, we use this, we love it. I'm so grateful for it. I always say, I was given no financial guidance when I was a kid at all. I am so happy to be able to do that for Daisy with Greenlight. So she gets a debit card. Not only do we get to customize it with a little picture of golden on it, but she keeps it in her little wallet. She checks the app to see how much money she has. We pay her through the app when she does her chores, through the chores feature on the app. She's accountable to it. She knows how much money she has. She saves for things she wants. It is the most amazing little thing we do.
And the cool thing about the chores feature is that you can set up a one-time chore or recurring chores.
Yes.
So if you're like, okay, when we get home, I need you to do this, like that can be a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, you know, empty the dishwasher or whatever on a recurring basis.
And like with the app, it's such an easy way to monitor her spending, but to also sit down with her and talk about saving and say, like, this is how much money you have. This is the thing you want. Do you really want that?
Exactly.
You know?
Teaching her the value of her money.
And money means something to her.
Right.
It really makes a difference.
Well, maybe that's why millions of parents and kids are learning about money on Greenlight already.
And that makes me so happy to hear. I hope that all of them are TCO listeners. I'm obsessed. Fam, start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/TCO.
That's greenlight.com/TCO to get started.
Greenlight.com/TCO. Tell them Patrick sent you.
Yeah, get into it and put like a really cute picture on that debit card.
You know, you can all have a picture of golden if you want one.
It's such a cute feature. So now they have the full license plate number. The police run the plates. Guess who it belongs to? Seemona.
Right.
Obviously. So the two people who ID'd her are Terrell Lovell and Luz Johnson.
Yes.
These are these two people. Luz is a woman. So we have some problems here because Luz identifies Seemona. Oh, that's the one who robbed me. Here's the thing. Simona's 100 miles away. Frank goes, she was at the Mohegan Sun.
Ironclad alibi. Ironclad. So this was the one that happened on May 19th at 1:30 in the morning. Simona's like, I was definitely at Mohegan Sun Casino that night, living it up with her friends. There's pictures of her at a gambling table. She's making calls from her cell phone at Mohegan Sun 100 miles away.
You can't go anywhere in a casino without being filmed.
No.
So there she is at the craps table.
Yeah. And you're like, so this is it, right? Like, this is going to prove that it absolutely was not this person.
And she's being set up.
Yes, exactly. They bring this evidence to the grand jury. The grand jury fucks us on this. Remember the episode we did where they're like, all a jury needs is DNA or surveillance video?
Yeah.
We got the fucking surveillance video. It's not enough. They say the photo is too grainy and anybody could have had her phone 100 miles away.
Now, Simona's been in jail for 28 days.
Yeah. I would like to mark the time like this, 28 days away from her daughter.
Of 100%.
You know?
For something she didn't do.
28 days her kid has not had a mom.
And people making her feel crazy every step of the way because she obviously didn't do this and there's proof of it and here we are.
And the grand jury throws it out. Not good enough. We're going to trial.
So Seemona is forced to spend months in jail awaiting trial.
And while she's there, she's thinking what I'm thinking. She's like,
This is when I really started to panic. I'm absolutely freaking out because I am trying to figure out if they have all these things, they concocted all this falsified stuff. What is going to be my defense?
if my actual evidence that I could not have done this isn't enough, what do they have against me? If I have the proof that I wasn't there, but they're not going to accept that, I am fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, this is where my brain starts to turn itself inside out, because this should be so easy to prove that this wasn't her. She should have an alibi for every single night that these people said they were robbed. You know what I mean?
It's enough at least to go to trial.
Because what it's making me think is that anybody can do this to anybody. Yeah. Anybody, if you're going to lay the groundwork over a series, a couple of months, and you know enough, because remember, this guy works with the cops. We're going to learn more about that later. Know enough to mess it up, make it in different jurisdictions, different counties over time. Give one witness some information, another witness more information. Like, anybody who knows enough to do that could do this to anybody.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's insane. And especially when you have like corrupt, shitty cops.
Yeah. And
Please.
like, thank God that Seemona is a person of means and has like this restaurant and she was a broker. She's got enough money to hire this fancy lawyer.
Yeah, but $1 million bail is like nothing to sneeze at. Like
exactly.
She's stuck in jail waiting trial.
The amount of like, oh my God, because this guy's he's not like he's like a smart person. Like anybody can come up with this scheme and do this to anybody. That scared me to death.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course. So Seemona is forced to spend months in jail while awaiting trial. And she says every day seems like a lifetime when you're in a place like that.
And no one is looking at Jerry. She's like, this guy set me up. This guy that is about to go on trial for raping me. Why isn't that enough for you to go look at him?
Who's been impersonating cops his whole life, seemingly. Now, lawyer Anthony, though, is going to make sure that everyone knows about this at trial. Like, because he says all you got to do is cross-reference the phone calls between Jerry and these two witnesses that claimed to see her when she was really at the Mohegan Sun, as he says.
Right, because what the attorney is trying to say is that if we can prove that they all know each other, or at the very least they all know Jerry, then we can prove that these, quote, independent witnesses are setting Seemona up.
And he fights to get 1 year of phone records.
However, in this particular case, that was denied. And I was nervous about the reality that I was not receiving any discovery to link Jerry to any of these other individuals, which was the core of Seemona's defense. And without that, it was troubling.
I feel insane because they're not even making this a fair fight. They're not even making it like what they're all out to get her. It feels like it feels personal.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, and like the people that are like the judge that says no to this, it's insane. The grand jury that's like, that surveillance video of you is not good enough evidence. Anybody could have had your phone 100 miles away. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, how is that possible when she has 2 jobs, a family she's very close with, a daughter? Like, no.
Well, and she was at Mohegan Sun with her family. So I'm assuming that the grand jury is also saying your family's also lying for you?
Yes, everyone's in cahoots.
Exactly.
Idiots. So Seemona's been in jail 141 days.
That's 141 days her daughter has not had a mother.
Yep. It's October 11th, 2010. Now, that ex-friend from before.
The one that was in shadow?
Yeah, he hears that Seemona's locked up and he's like, oh my God, he actually went through with it?
Yeah.
People believed this bullshit? And I'm like, all right, let's rewind.
Yes.
Now we're going to 8 months before Seemona's arrest.
Jerry is having a drink with the ex-friend who's here in shadow and says, look, Seemona Seemona found out about my wife. She's really mad at me. She's going to ruin my life, she says, by trying to call Child Protective Services on me. Here's what I need you to do, ex-friend.
I need you to do me a big favor. I need you to go to cops and tell them that Seemona pulled you over and she came up to your car with a gun and a badge. At that moment, I'm like, wait a minute. Is he really serious? Like, I'm not going to do something like that. He didn't want to take no for an answer. I was like, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
When the reality is Seemona just wants to move on with her life.
Right.
She doesn't give a shit. She doesn't want to ruin his life. She wants to live hers.
The reality is she's taking you to court for having raped her.
Right.
And that's what you want to get out of. But the lie that you're telling your friend is that she's mad because you don't want to be with her.
Right. Like you just want to ruin her life.
Exactly.
So the ex-friend is like, no, I'm not doing this.
I'm definitely not doing that.
But I'm also definitely not going to stop being friends with you either.
I know.
I'm just going to be totally turned off by when the cameras are asking me about it. I'm going to be totally disgusted.
And more than that, well, yeah, exactly. Like this guy is here. He wants all the accolades. I'm not giving them to him.
Because the ex-friend is there when Jerry is like, all right, I'll ask somebody else. So
Right.
the ex-friend apparently is telling us that he was there because this person also that he asked, now it's going to start to come together. When the ex-friend is like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. Jerry turns to like person number 3 who's sitting there. And this person happens to be the first person who called to report they were robbed. This person is robbery number 1 from earlier.
Exactly.
So his name is Rajiv.
But ex-friend is saying, I was there when I said no, and Jerry turned in his seat and asked the other guy. I heard him ask the other guy.
Right. So I'm like, okay, what's up, ex-friend? Are you going to do the right thing, or are you just going to like sit on this information while Seemona sits in prison?
Right, because now that like the ex-friend knows about this, how is it not every waking minute of his life trying to get to the people to be like, no, this guy set her up. He tried to get me to do it, and I said no, but he must have found someone to do it.
And I was there when him and Rajiv, aka robbery number 1, came up with this plan, and that's why I'm saying I can't believe they actually went through with it, because I know who robbery number 1 is.
Exactly.
So it's 162 days in jail. Oh my God. November 10th, 2010. Seemona is awaiting trial.
I lost everything I worked for, every single thing. When I found out that the house was going to go into foreclosure, I was angry. It was always going to be mine, I guess, or in the family type of thing.
The restaurant closes. The house, the family home that she grew up in and then bought, is now going into foreclosure.
I mean,
and then like Kiara, of course, is being raised by the aunt, and it's just like so fucking sad and despondent. She doesn't have her mother. She doesn't understand. Like, she knows her mother didn't do anything, so why is my mom in prison?
And there are also brick walls every step of the way. Like, it's not looking good for Seemona. It's really scary. She's in a lot of trouble.
It really looks like Seemona's going to get convicted of this thing and go to prison for 50 years.
And the family is just like, it makes you crazy when it's so obvious what the truth is and no one seemingly is believing you. Like, it's just brick walls all the time, like roadblocks. And so the family's holding out hope, praying for a miracle. But honestly, it's really not looking good because Seemona has been in jail for 5 months.
Yeah. So ex-friend is at a bar and he says the guy that Jerry asked, like number 1 guy, the first guy to call in and say that Seemona pulled me over and robbed me, Jerry knows who that person is. And Jerry sees that person at a bar and he's like, girl, I know you lied. I know that Jerry made you do that. Like, Seemona's in prison. We don't know. Like, this is really bad. You need to turn yourself in. And the guy's like, you know what? You're right. I do feel bad.
Also, hey, ex-friend, can you just cut out the middleman and do it your fucking self? Can you just call the DA instead of like asking this guy to do the right thing? How about you do it, Jerry? How about you do it, ex-friend?
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it doesn't. Why are you not like at the police station every day kicking the fucking, you know what the answer is? He doesn't care that much.
He doesn't care that much.
I mean, like, he's here trying to pretend like he cared the whole time. He doesn't care that much.
Yeah, and he's not as in it. It's just like, oh, wow, what a tragic thing. But he's not there with Kiara when she's like crying about her mom being in jail for 161 days.
If I knew something like this, if I had the answer to somebody being in prison wrongfully, I would stop at nothing to get that information to everybody.
So ex-friend is like, so you got to come clean, right? And Rajiv is like, totally, you're right. I feel super bad. I'll call you later. Sorry, great seeing you.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of the night. You're glowing, by the way. Is that a new blouse? Like, oh my God. They go their separate ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rajiv never calls the ex-friend to come clean together. He calls Jerry.
So then Jerry says, all right, we got to take care of this guy. And so what Jerry says, Rajit, person number 1, you call the cops and say that you ran into ex-friend at the bar and he was messing with you. It'll be tampering with a witness. Say he was trying to intimidate you to change your story. And so that's what happens. So Rajit, person number 1, calls the cops and is like, hey, my story is really true. This guy is now threatening me, saying that like I have to take my story back.
The detective did not believe me. He told me, no, Seemona was guilty. Jerry has nothing to do with it. And I was working alongside with Seemona, and I was threatening the witnesses. The detective threw the handcuff on me and takes me to jail.
The cops are once again a bunch of incompetent clowns because they just believe everything they hear. Jerry's totally innocent. Ex-friend is the mastermind. They throw him in jail. I'm like, I'm sorry, can you just look Jerry up and prove that he's never fucking been a cop?
And like the other thing is like,
Can't we figure out he's lying in 2 seconds?
Ex-friend who was trying to get the bad guy to do the right thing, the cops now believe that he's working with Seemona.
Right, and they charge ex-friend with a felony.
Exactly.
And Rajiv is a spineless idiot herb loser who does anything Jerry tells him to do.
It's just like, we've got these two innocent people in prison. Like, because the cops just won't ask a question.
And these cops are bumbling idiots. They are doofus, dunce, herbs, the lot of them. All of Jerry and his
strong
friends.
language from you.
All of these cops are fucking worthless.
Yes,
and they
yes.
should all be fired.
Yes.
They're idiots, every last one of them.
Travel down the road back again.
Girl, Rocket Money is back. Fam, you all know Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings.
Here's the thing. We all have subscriptions that we don't know we have.
Yes.
So you can see all of your subscriptions in one place. You can know exactly where your money's going. You can decide if you actually want something or not.
Yep.
And then for the ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them because you know they try to make it really difficult.
They do. And with Rocket Money, you can see all of your subscriptions in one place. That is the thing that really helped me the most.
And like the dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your accounts. Like
Yes.
when I signed up for it, they ask you to connect like all of your bank accounts. So it's not just like you connect all your credit cards, your
Yep,
bank accounts,
yep.
so they can tell you like, here's what you're paying on what card. Do you want this? Yes or no?
I mean, you literally get notifications from them being like, you still want this? You know what I mean?
Because the worst thing is when you get like, thanks for your renewal of the
Oh, I
subscription.
know.
You're like, what? I never used that.
I know. And also, this is my other favorite thing. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate to lower bills for you. They'll automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate. They'll deal with customer service so that you don't have to.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Rocket Money has over 5 million users. You're talking to 2 of them right now.
Exactly.
And has saved a total of $500 million. $500 million.
One more time, GP.
In canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features.
So, fam, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money.
Go to rocketmoney.com/obsessed today.
That's rocketmoney.com/obsessed.
rocketmoney.com/obsessed.
They're going to negotiate for you.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
worth the price of admission.
Totally.
So, ex-friend is charged with felony witness tampering, and it carries a prison sentence of 8 to 25 years.
I mean,
so now we have that to deal with, too.
Oh, my God. And the friend is saying, like, I can't even worry about Seemona anymore. I got to worry about myself now.
Right.
I got to get myself out of this fucking mess.
So, Seemona's been in jail for 188 days.
188 days that Kiara has not had a parent.
And Seemona is losing hope. She's despondent.
I got sick. I couldn't eat. I lost a lot of weight. My skin was breaking out. My hair was coming out in clones. I had ear infections. Everything was just spiraling down, one by one.
She's just giving up because what do you do at this point?
It's like nothing is working when
And
you
you
have
just-
the truth on your side.
You can't believe that this could possibly have happened to you.
And you would think like, okay, well, ex-friend is another witness. They have to believe him.
Yeah.
Nope. Throw him in jail too. It's like, what is going on?
And like, not only did this man ruin her life, he raped her.
He raped her.
Her rapist is doing this to her.
And it's so obvious. Like, look him up in the police Google machine. He's
Yeah.
never been a cop.
No.
You can find out he's lying in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Like, I feel insane.
And why do people never do this? I don't understand.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
So December 2010, Sophia Lewis arrives.
Yes.
She walks into the DA's office to report Jerry.
Yeah, Sophia Lewis is here to save the day.
And
She
it's
gets a
just-
hero bell.
It's shocking that she hasn't been thrown in prison for the rest of her life, honestly, based on how this is going. So she walks into
I
the
know.
DA's office and she's like, I have a story. You know why? Because she went to the DA's office, not the fucking police.
Exactly.
That's why.
Well, yes, that's true. That's right.
Police are worthless. So they met
Yeah.
She and Jerry met. They started dating. And he tells her, because this guy can't keep his mouth shut.
I know.
He tells Sophia all about his plan to set up Seemona.
Yes.
Because, of course, he leaves out the fact that he's a rapist and a liar and all of this.
Right.
But he wants to set up his ex because she threatened to set him up. And, of course, like, Simona's the bad guy.
Right. And I do love that, like, I will say Jerry, for all of his faults, does have good taste in women. You know what I mean?
I mean, the minute they see the red flags, they're like, oh,
Goodbye.
Who do I have to call?
Yeah. And so she's there to tell the story of how Jerry got each of the people who made these calls to actually do it. So, number one, Rajiv is his cousin, and Jerry threatened the cousin's family, like, do this or something pretty bad's going to happen to your wife and your kids.
And Sophia was there when ex-friend, who is now also in jail,
yes,
was there. She was there for that conversation too.
Right. And then the other two, Luz Johnson and Terrell Lavelle or whatever.
Jerry offered Terrell Lavelle and Luz Johnson $20,000 to cooperate with him and stage this robbery. They were never paid the money.
And then didn't pay them a dime.
Right. Those are like those dumb criminal stories where it's like, I want to report someone who didn't pay me 20 grand. Well, what's the story? Well, I was supposed to I set up his ex-girlfriend and he never paid me.
I know. It's that, and like, how did that serial killer get caught again? Oh, the taillight of his car.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
Tax evasion or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, but the point is, Jerry's really vindictive because there's a lot of planning that went into this. So like, they started in Queens and then went to Nassau because he wanted to go to Nassau because they were stricter about this. And then like, he also made sure that each phone call had new information. Remember, like one of them had a partial plate, the other had the full plate. So like, this went on for months. He was patient.
I was going to say, it was also the length of time. Like it spanned 9 months or something.
Yeah. So like he waited and then gave them all like new information. So the cops would be like, oh, well, this makes sense.
Yes.
And the cops thought this was like easy peasy.
Yes.
This guy's a liar. He's an abuser. He's a rapist. He's doing all of this to avoid accountability.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
And like, this is where we learned that no, he was never a cop, but he had been an informant for a number of different units. Right. So he does know enough about how police operate to put together a scheme like this that would be believable to the cops.
Like idiots all around.
Yes.
Idiots all around because he's ratting on everyone else thinking he's in with the cops. They're using you, you idiot.
Yes.
And to the idiots in the NYPD, can you look at this guy for 2 seconds?
I know.
He's a rat.
And just like the world's worst fucking human being. So December 2nd, 2010, 194 days in jail.
I get called down that I have a visitor. I thought that somebody was coming there to tell me something terrible happened because no family member were scheduled to visit me. But it ended up being Tony, and he came with good news, and he told me I was gonna be released.
He visits Seemona unannounced.
Yes.
Which could go either way.
Well, she's like, somebody in my family must have died.
Something happened.
Like, what is going on? He's there to tell her that all the charges are being dropped.
She gets to leave right this minute.
Which, I like, if you're Seemona, wonderful. Like, that's great news. But like, are you not, like, it took 194 days to get there.
The trauma of that is
she'll never get
unbelievable.
over it.
So we got to take Jerry down, right?
Yes.
Like, let's get the son of a bitch. So step one, we got to get his herb loser co-conspirators to flip on him. And all three of them do it in about 2 seconds flat.
Of course.
They sang like canaries, says Tony in the spiffy suit.
I wrote it down before he said it.
Yeah. He's like, oh, they all admitted in 2 seconds, no robberies.
I hope that they still get into some kind of fucking trouble.
I hope so.
My God, they put this woman in prison for 7 months.
I know. So they tell the lawyers everything. And you know who else testifies? The ex-friend, Sophia, the ex-girlfriend. But here's something that I thought was interesting, because this kind of never happens. So the lawyers combine the rape case and the conspiracy case into one indictment.
Yes.
Because remember, Jerry is doing this because of his rape case.
Yes.
So this all needs to be... This all needs to be included, and it doesn't weaken the case. They're doing it to get the conviction.
Right.
This is combining these cases is making the case stronger. Sometimes when things are combined, it's a little disappointing for us.
Yep.
But that's not the situation here. And I can't remember the last time that's happened where it's like, oh, combining it is good.
Exactly.
Because one case is helping the other.
They need the rape case to prove the conspiracy case.
And it sometimes that's not allowed. And I'm shocked that this was allowed because all the judges have been shitty so far.
I know.
Like finally things are working in Seemona's favor in like a really big way.
Yeah, and Prosecutor Frank is saying Seemona testifies, of course, and that she was like the most compelling witness he's ever seen in his entire career. He says
during her testimony, jurors were crying. You could hear a pin drop. She gave a chillingly detailed account of what happened with her and the defendant. At the end of this case, the jury came back with a verdict. It was the only time in my career I got a standing ovation from the jury.
Lead prosecutor, Frank, is like, also, can I say something?
Yeah.
It's the first and only time in my career that I got a standing ovation from the jury.
Yeah, when they come back with the verdict, the jury gives him a standing ovation.
Is that even allowed?
I don't know. We're breaking all the rules today,
Courtroom
GP.
is really all about theater
Yeah,
anyway.
totally.
If we've learned nothing, we've learned that. But holy shit, right? Like everyone was really like at the top of their game here to get this son of a bitch.
Totally.
So Jerry's guilty across the board. 25 years for rape, 7 for conspiracy, a total of 32 years in prison.
Which is not enough time.
Not enough time.
It's 25 years for rape is not enough death penalty.
And Seemona is like, hi, I was screaming. I knew the whole time and nobody believed me. It was so obvious. Like
And that's the
Cassandra
thing.
once again.
It was so obvious. She had ironclad alibi. She had all the evidence she needed. Like, this is unacceptable.
That's what I mean. Like, it felt really personal. That, like, they wouldn't even look at anything. They wouldn't hear
just
her.
let them look at the phone records to connect Jerry with these idiots. Like, my God.
And, like, shouldn't you be mad, cops, that someone is, like, impersonating a police
I know.
officer? Isn't that,
I know.
like, such a slap in the face?
Yeah.
You know why? Because they felt fucking stupid, and
Yes,
they should.
yes.
So, Seemona sues Nassau County and Detective Charles, the woman who was harassing her right at the beginning of this thing. I want everyone fired. So, because when Seemona was arrested, like we were saying.
When Seemona was arrested and interrogated, Detective Charles had a folder with information about Jerry in it. How did they have Jerry's folder on their desk if they didn't really believe he was somehow involved with this?
Detective Charles had a file about Jerry on the table.
Yes.
Which means that they knew he was involved, and they still let this happen to Seemona, who's innocent and a rape survivor.
Like, to really drive that home, they had the file of Jerry on the table while they were interrogating her. She's like, is this about him? And they said no. And they brush it aside. Like, they clearly knew that he was involved in this.
That he raped her.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
oh my God. So, but Tony, the lawyer, goes, look, everyone's at fault here. It's not just the cops. The prosecutors were asleep at the wheel. He goes, the detectives were bumbling buffoons.
Yes.
And they were dishonest. And I like to put it lightly. They knew Jerry was an informant. They knew he was lying about being a cop.
Yes.
And they knew he raped her. And still, like, they were so, like, the cops were vindictive. And that's the thing, everyone. This episode is called Betrayed by the Badge.
Yeah.
And at first, you think it's about how Jerry's pretending to be a cop. Sure. That's part of it. But also, the cops betrayed Seemona because they failed her.
They just failed her.
She was betrayed by the badge every step of the way.
Why can't there be a law, a rule where, like, if somebody says, can you just look at this one guy, go open his file for 5 seconds, and you don't have to go to prison for 187 days?
This is why we got to burn it all down and start over. When I say that, like, I'm not really kidding.
Yeah.
It's things like this where it's like, how did we get so far off base from the point?
And it feels like the more and more we're covering cases where this happens, where, like, the woman just, I mean, obviously we know the woman is not listened to, but then, like, what results is that she goes to prison for fucking an endless amount of time for a thing that is so provable that didn't happen.
It happens all the time. There are tens of thousands of innocent people in prison any given day. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
So December 2011, Seemona sues Nassau County and the detectives.
I never said, oh, I wanted X amount. I never relayed that to anybody else, or I deserve that amount. I just wanted to win, I think. Admit that you all were way out of line and wrong, because I didn't want to have to go to testify, have Kiara go to testify. Any settlement they probably would have gave me, I probably would have just said yes to, just for it to be over.
They only pay her $2 million, which is nothing.
Yes.
Now, Seemona is happy and she's living her life. If she's happy, I'm happy.
Yes.
Now, I did some research. I did some Googling.
Okay.
I think both detectives, who were women, by the way, should have been fired and, like, thrown away without the key, right?
Yeah.
Detective Charles changed her name last year when this was in production, when, like, she knew this was coming out.
No way.
So she was a sergeant as of 2019. So they just, like, let her continue to put how many other innocent people away, not believing women, like she was a corrupt police officer, and she got to be a sergeant as of 2019. She changed her name. I'm not going to dox her because I don't dox people.
Yeah.
But the point is, I think it's interesting that she changed her name.
Wow.
When she knew this was coming out, and she was allowed to be a sergeant. And if you look, I'm just saying, there's stuff, people want to hold her accountable. And of course, the Nassau cops aren't going to do that to one of their own. God forbid.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah.
But that is what happened.
Wow.
So I think it's interesting.
Very interesting.
You know what? Team Seemona. Always
Team
and forever.
Seemona, now and forever.
Forever.
And Golden Crest, go check it out.
Yeah, go check it out. They're all, I mean, I think it's mostly a New York thing. But still, when you come visit, go visit one.
Go visit one. Girl, what are we doing next?
Who is Donnie Rudd? Keith Morrison would like to know.
Oh, my
this
God.
is a Keith Morrison investigates situation. We haven't seen Keith in a long time.
We haven't seen it in a while. We started doing this one like 2 months ago.
It was on the calendar, and then we bumped it for either Tegan and Sarah or Sweet Bob or something.
I got halfway through it, so now I can't wait to find out what happens.
Something else came out where we were like, oh, God, sorry, Keith. We'll see you in a couple weeks. But we're here now, and we'll see you very soon, Keith.
All right, well, stay tuned for the trailer for that, fam, and we love you.
We love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
People seem to love him and want to be around him. He just pulls people in.
Donnie Rudd, a man with unlimited potential.
He was a lawyer. He had a TV show.
I am your host, Donnie Rudd.
By all accounts, a noteworthy medical researcher.
His IQ would probably be on genius level.
He knew all these famous people. He was working on all these big deals. You just get sucked into his world.
But Donnie had some secrets.
It did kind of sink in that there's something that just doesn't seem right about this whole situation.
You said somebody was trying to kill him.
The cops were following him.
What did you think when you heard that he was a suspect in a murder investigation?
Didn't surprise me.
Was he a murderer or just a maverick?
It was a weird coincidence, and Mom always said when it comes to Donnie, there's no coincidence.
All of it leaves some people who crossed his path still questioning. Who is Donnie Rudd?
I don't feel I'm talking to a murderer.
I don't know how he does it, but boy, he's good at it.
You know, if I'm being bamboozled, it's by an expert.